clients is our profits are too low, and we're trying to figure out how to increase our fees. And I've done a lot of research and working with our clients to figure out what is it that the firms that are charging more are doing. What are they doing differently? And so I've come up with some ideas, and I'm just really introducing some of these concepts to you today. And towards the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you an idea of how we can dig a little bit deeper into these subjects and get you even further along I apologize. Let's go back here. And I am using a tool called Prezi. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Prezi, but it's a lot more fun than PowerPoint, and hopefully I've got it working right now. So yes, my name is June Jewell. I'm the president of AEC Business Solutions. I am 100% focused on helping A&E firms stay profitable and get more profitable. And I'll be joined in a little bit by my friend Sylvia Montgomery, who is an amazing marketer and works exclusively in the A&E industry as well, and has lots of great ideas for how to help firms to become better well-known in the industry. So she's going to be contributing to a couple slides as we go along today, and then I'll talk about at the end how you can learn more about these topics, because I think there's a lot that we could really dig into today, and in an hour's time we can't get into enough detail that I'm sure that you all would like to do, but I'm going to hopefully introduce some things to you that will get you thinking about it. So today we're going to be talking about how to climb this mountain to get to higher fees. And there are several steps that you have to take. It isn't something you just flip a switch in your firm and all of a sudden you're there. You're more profitable and having higher revenues coming in the door. It's something that you have to work towards. And really it goes back to your strategy. And we're going to talk today about some things that you can focus on as part of your strategic plan and how you position your company in the marketplace to be able to charge more, and charge more according to what you're really worth and the services and the value of what you're providing to your clients. So there's really 3 simple steps to higher fees. And there's actually some other steps that you could do, but today we're only going to be talking about 3 of the ones that I think are very important. Sylvia has some other ones that she talks about as well, and which you'll learn some more about later on. But today we're going to be focusing on these 3 steps. And the first one is understanding what your image is out in the marketplace and why that's important. Second of all, how you can introduce some thought leadership into your firm to make yourself better well known and sought after as a company. And number 3, and really probably the most important one that goes along with your strategic plan, is how you get the right clients. What do you really have to do to get those clients that will pay more? So we're going to talk about that today. And I wanted to start off, I'm going to bring Sylvia in because this is one of Sylvia's slides. Her company, Hinge Marketing, does a lot of research in the A&E industry, really tries to understand the A&E firm customers and clients and why they're buying services from certain firms rather than others. And so, Sylvia, if you're on the line, if you would be able to maybe speak to this slide, I'd love for you to contribute here.
Sure. Hi, June. Thank you for that kind introduction.
Uh-oh, having trouble hearing you, Sylvia. Oh, it looks like we're having trouble hearing Sylvia. Sylvia, if you get a chance to join in, we'd really appreciate it. It sounds like we've lost her. Hopefully she can dial back in. So this is a slide that Sylvia provided, and they've done a lot of research to look at, why, what kind of research are your clients doing in the marketplace before they even speak to you. And when you go and you do a competitive bid particularly with a new client, and they're trying to figure out who to hire, what do they do to get to know your firm better? And so this is some research that Hinge Marketing did. 80% of companies that want to do business with you are looking at your website. And I think you should assume everyone's looking at your website. So it's very important that you have a great website. They ask other companies about you and who do you know and try to get referrals. They Google you. They search online to see what's out there about your firm. They might talk to some of your references. Hopefully you're giving them good references. And they may look you up on social media, and particularly LinkedIn when you're talking about business-to-business type of work. Social media is very important, and I think you should assume that every company you work with is looking you up online and checking out all of these sources to see what your reputation is, to find out what other companies think about you, to see if there's any negative things about your firm online. They're doing their research, and I know you must do the same, right? When you're deciding whether to hire a contractor to fix something in your home, any product that you buy, you're going online to look at reviews to see what other people are saying, and that is what your clients are doing. And I think a lot of firms forget about this. They don't really think how important it is of what is popping up online about their company. This is another one of Hinge Marketing slides, and that is that 51.9% of potential clients have ruled out a firm before speaking with them. So there may be situations where you're sending in a proposal to a company, to a client you want to do business with, and because of what they see online in researching your company or talking to other people, they've already ruled you out as a potential firm that they want to hire. This is really important to keep in mind, and this is why you really need to be thinking about these types of things as you position yourself in the market and you look at your company strategy. Is it all positive? Does this look like somebody we would want to hire? So I find that the reason that many firms bid low, and I really think that when you think about why your fees are low or lower than you want them to be, a big part of the problem is that you have fallen into this trap of becoming what we call a commodity. And it's really sad because, you know, architects are very creative, engineers are very smart. You probably do have a lot of unique aspects to your company, some experience or expertise that other firms don't have, that are worth a lot more than what you're getting. But because you tend to fall into this mindset that a lot of the work that you're doing is a commodity, you tend to bid low. And many firms are afraid not to bid low because they're afraid they won't win. They won't win the work. And I have something to tell everyone that you may not want to hear. And that is, the clients you have now are not going to pay more. That's the bad news. That's the bad news out of this webinar today. The clients you have now are probably not going to pay more money for your services. And that means that you have to have a different strategy. You have to either have different clients or different types of projects that you're bidding on, which are probably with different clients. And so that's the tough part. That's why if you think about it, certain firms are getting huge margins on their work, and that is because they've gone out with a strategic direction to go after the higher-priced clients. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you do that? How do you get out of doing that mainstream low-bid work and go after companies that have more money and that appreciate what you do and are willing to pay for it? And I'm hoping I can give you some ideas today for that. So we have a question for everybody in the audience, and Leanne's going to get that going right now. We'd like to collect some information from you. I can't see it, but
I think it's the way we ended up doing it. I'll let you know. We'll give everyone a couple of seconds to vote. About 30% of you have voted, so we'll keep it open for another few seconds.
I can read off the question.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the question is your brand in alignment with your fee structure.
Hopefully all of you understand that question. It's a little bit complicated. It's not always an easy question to answer. But I think for the most part, most of you have a gut feeling.
Right. Right now where we're at is with almost the entire audience voting, it's almost an equal split. We have 56% answered yes and 44% answered no. So it keeps running roughly in that 50-50 range. So I'll go ahead and close the poll.
That's a big diversity if you think about it, everybody, you know, because that's going to be the next thing we talk about, and why this is all so important here is talking about your fee structure and how you are selling that fee structure to the market that you sell to. So I did a little bit of research, pulled up some surveys from Zweig and PSMJ and some other organizations, and these are rough numbers, and they do change every year, but roughly they classify firms that have lower profit margins at 2 to 8%, average 9 to 11 now, and that's a little bit higher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. It is going up slightly in the averages. And then the most successful firms are earning about 12 to up to over 30%. You know, there is a percentage of the marketplace that are actually bringing in over 30% profit margins on their revenue. So that's very interesting. And what I tell all of our clients is, regardless of where you are now, whether you're at 6%, 10%, or 20%, there's probably always ways to get a little bit better. And so I just thought this was an interesting numbers that you should be looking at to see where you fit in as far as your ultimate profit margin. So again, how do we climb that mountain? The first thing we're going to talk about is brand image. And your brand image is your online image, your website, any place where anybody can find information about you online, your reputation in the marketplace, and that is really much more of an intangible thing. It's what people say about you. Your appearance. So what is your logo look like, your artwork, the images that you use on your website and other places where people might find it, might see it. Your name recognition. How well is your name known out in the marketplace? And also the emotional connection, the trust and likability that you project out into the marketplace. So I wanted to give you a few examples, and I'm going to start with the car industry. Because it's something we all know and feel like we know something about. And I want you to think about some websites. And I'm starting off with Chevrolet. So Chevrolet is pretty much known as your, you know, staple type, low to average priced car. Has a reputation, but the reputation would not be the high end, I would think. You're not going to think of Chevrolet as being the high-end vehicle or high-end product that you're going to go out and buy when you think about high-end and price tags. But if you look at this website page projects a certain image. You've got $8,000 total value when you finance through select lenders. Get a great Silverado offers here. So this is very much sales-oriented, and it really does not speak to someone you might be, a product that you want to go out and pay more money for. And then I'm going to go to the next one, which we want to maybe think of as the cream of the crop, right? The most expensive, the Rolls-Royce. And this is obviously a very different image. You've got pictures of big, expensive, you know, $100 million yachts in the background. It's obviously a very beautiful place. It's a different image. It speaks to a different audience. It has a different look and feel. There's no offers on this page. People who buy Rolls Royces don't need offers, and they are, you know, projecting something very, very different. I wanted to give you another example, which is Bentley. And Bentley's image, obviously, here, it's a very sleek, beautiful vehicle. And again, if you look at this website, it's very simple. There's very few words here. It's very much about projecting an image, an expensive image. And they know who their audience is. They don't have to slam sales offers in their face, and they are very much sleek and cool in their projection. But when I really started thinking about vehicles and who I thought was the coolest vehicle out there, I started thinking to myself, well, if my business was a car company, who would I want them to be? You know, which car business would I relate to the most, and would I obviously personally relate to? And the one that I picked is Tesla. And the reason is Tesla has done a very, very good job with their brand in projecting a cool, they have a coolness factor. They're also very environmentally cool. You know, they're in with the times in terms of, you know, the environment and having electric hybrid cars. Their website is 0 to 50 in 31 seconds, so it's fast. It's forward thinking. It's kind of unique in the sense that not everybody has a Tesla, not everybody can afford a Tesla, and you don't see that many Teslas out on the road. So Tesla's done a very good job, I think, of projecting a cool image for their vehicle. And in a way, somewhat like the Bentley. So I want you to think about that. If you just pull up the homepage of your website, what do you see? What price range would you pay for that company that you're seeing in front of you? And many of you have maybe not ever thought of it that way, but you are attracting a certain type of clientele to your website based on what you're showing them when they get there, and what you've invested in projecting your image online. So the next thing I wanted to talk about in terms of our brand is, who do you say you are? And I pulled the list of a bunch of the companies who are attending the webinar today, and these are some of the words you all had on your website. And I want you to think about this for a minute, because exceptional, leaders, innovative, value-driven, there's a lot of value, there's a lot of reliable, conscientious. We have a solid reputation in the industry. We are an award-winning firm. We are dedicated. We're a trusted advisor. There were more words. There were a lot more words. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because I personally feel like every firm says the same thing, and I think that's an issue. And you really do have to think about what are the words you're using, and how do you differentiate yourself being exceptional from your competitors? Because if they're saying they're exceptional and you're saying you're exceptional, then pretty much everybody is saying they're exceptional. Now, I will tell you, I went to many of your websites, people who are on here. I'm not calling anybody out, but some of them are terrible. Some of them are good. Some of them are very, very good. There were a couple, actually, that I thought were exceptionally good. But the images and what you're showing on your website speak louder in a lot of cases than these words. The word exceptional doesn't always come through when you say it as much as when you show it. And so I think it's something to really think about. What is your brand? Does it really look exceptional? Does it really look solid and project that image of the words that you're using on your site? And again, a lot of firms are using the same words, so you really have to think about how you're differentiating. Now, what else do they see when they go out there online looking for you? Obviously, everybody goes to Google, right? So what I'm going to tell you now is go Google yourself. Go Google your company, and also Google some of the keywords for, like if you're a civil engineer, Google, civil engineers. If you're in, Boston, Massachusetts, civil engineers in Boston, Massachusetts. See what comes up. See what other firms are coming up. Go look at their sites. Look at how you're competitors differentiate themselves from you. I think that's really important. Also, I will say I don't think many firms realize the importance of their LinkedIn company page. If you don't have a good LinkedIn company page, it's going to be a lot harder for you to show up high ranking in the search engine optimization in Google. So when somebody searches on civil engineers in Boston, if you don't have a good LinkedIn company page, you may not come up as high in that search. And I actually found, and I'm not going to say who it is, but one of you on this call today did not have a company page on LinkedIn, and many of you are not optimizing it. So LinkedIn can be a very good friend to you, and many firms seem to be afraid of LinkedIn. They really don't know how to use it and are not leveraging it as much. Facebook may or may not be as important depending on your industry. Could be, though, if you're selling to residential, maybe it's very important. It's something that you need to look into. Twitter, maybe, maybe not. And Google Plus. You know, Google Plus is not as populated and is not as much used across the industry, but because Google owns them, and also on YouTube, I forgot to add YouTube to this slide, but YouTube is also owned by Google. So if you have a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube, you will show up higher in a Google search. And same with having involvement on Google+. So these are things you need to think about. They may not seem important to you, but they all interrelated. And if you just lose one project because you're not out there or your image isn't what it should be, or if you're constantly having to go after these low-cost projects, this is something to think about in how you start to rebrand yourself and your image online. So, you know, I took my own advice. I went out and Googled my company, and I just typed in the name of my business into Google search. And I was excited to see that we came up, other than where it says Morrissey Good Ale there on the screen, we had every other ranking here. So every single other item on the front page of Google, and most people don't go off the first page, to be honest. And you'll notice our LinkedIn pages came up second. So that's why LinkedIn is very important for you. You really got to be on LinkedIn. You got to be using it and leveraging it. But you really need to go out and find out. And notice Vimeo right here lower down, Vimeo is showing up. So we have a lot of videos on Vimeo. We don't have as many on YouTube. That's something we're actually working on. But it is causing us to dominate on this page in Google. So that was a good thing. I want you all to see what comes up when you Google your own company. I think it's important to have a really good look at that and follow all those links. So the next area that we're going to talk about is thought leadership. So this is number 2 out of the 3 steps. And so getting your brand image together is very important. Obviously, somebody who wants to pay the price of a Tesla or a Rolls-Royce or a BMW or whatever it is not going to buy that if their website looked like a Chevy. And so you got to go back and figure out whether your website looks like a Chevy. Thought leadership is the next big step. And thought leadership is how you get your expertise out into the marketplace. So it could be having a blog. It could be writing articles in, ENR Magazine or AIA newsletters, books and other content that you might put out there in the world, interviews that you do, webinars, videos, speaking engagements at conferences. And social media is also very, very important to thought leadership. And social media can drive people back to your website, can drive people back to your blog. So in order to get people to show up higher on your website, you really have to be out there. You have to figure out what unique expertise your firm has and how can you project that thought leadership out into the industry. This is the number one way you can differentiate your firm. And being a thought leader, and this is pretty much one of Sylvia's major focuses, and I'll talk about that in a minute, what Sylvia's doing with that. Maybe if we can get Sylvia back on, she can mention it as well, what she's doing with her book and how important this really is to your firm's success. So I wanted to bring up a firm that I think is doing a great job of thought leadership, and that is Array Architects. They're out of Pennsylvania. Carl Davis is the CEO. He is very involved in this. And actually, he's very open about sharing what his firm is doing. He has created this blog with this, what they call the knowledge community around healthcare. And they have branded themselves as one of the top healthcare architects in the country. And by building out this blog that they have on their website, they have many followers. They have people who are subscribing and reading their articles on a regular basis. They're putting valuable content out. And not only saying they're a trusted advisor, they are a trusted advisor because they are a resource that others go to, including their clients, to look for information about healthcare architecture and other topics that are of interest to their clients. So I just want to commend them. I think they're doing a fantastic job. There are many firms doing a great job at this, but the firms that are doing a great job at this are making more money. They are charging more for their services. So another way to get your thought leadership out there is books. And two people have done a great job. Sylvia, did you manage to get back into our webinar? Did she get in? Yeah, we can't hear you, Sylvia. I'm not sure. I can just barely.
I dialed back in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, she's breaking up. I'm sorry. We really can't hear you at all. I don't know if you have the opportunity to call back in. I will tell you, Sylvia and her partner, Lee Fredrickson, have written this great book called The Visible Expert, which you guys can get on their website. And it tells you about what the research they've done about how important it is to be visible in your marketplace and the financial benefits of doing that. And Sylvia is an expert at that. She's dedicated her life to helping A&E firms to become visible experts, and it's wonderful, and it's a great book. I highly recommend you go get a copy of it. And my friend Tim Kloblandy, who is the Director of Marketing at Timmons Group, they're a several hundred-man civil engineering firm in Richmond, Virginia. Tim is a major thought leader in the A&E industry. He developed the Design and Construction Network on LinkedIn. He has that group is his group. He's a constant source out in SMPS, speaking at events like I've seen him at many AIA events. But Tim wrote this great book called Network Like an Introvert. And Tim pretends to be an introvert, but he really isn't. He's an amazing networker, and he has great ideas in his book about networking and how you can get out there and be a better networker. But because of his Design and Construction Network group on LinkedIn and because of his book that he's written, he's really made a name for himself and been able to connect to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the industry that otherwise he would not know or have an opportunity to talk with. So these are two people that have really done this well and have leveraged books to get their firms out there in the marketplace and get well known and become a thought leader in the industry. So I had another example. It's really interesting because I got this email from LinkedIn last week, and this is, I clicked on it. It basically said we've hit our millionth post or published article on LinkedIn, because several years ago LinkedIn started allowing people to publish, and I think you have to be a premium member on LinkedIn, and once you become a premium member you have the ability to start publishing articles. And on this example, this person, Stephen Frey, who is an architect, ironically, if you look below his picture, it says published by Stephen, and he has several articles that they're featuring. So this is what it said when I clicked on it. They used Stephen in their LinkedIn article as an example of somebody who's doing it right, who's leveraging LinkedIn and social media to get his name out and his popularity out and become a thought leader in the A&E space. So Stephen Frey is an architect based in Montpelier, Vermont. His pieces on design trends in the workplace have been picked up by regional papers, have opened up doors, including a meeting with a chancellor of an important local college that have led to new business and deeper discussions. After every initial meeting with a potential client, Frey sends 2 to 3 of his LinkedIn posts that flesh out what they just discussed. And he says the process of getting his thoughts on the screen has also helped him better understand how and what he thinks, which carries over into his speeches, his meetings, and beyond. So Stephen's direct work on LinkedIn and publishing articles as a thought leader has led to him getting new business. And I think this is a perfect example. I connected with Stephen right after I read this. Stephen, and this is the thing that's really exciting and interesting, Stephen has a one-man firm. So it doesn't matter how big you are. With Stephen becoming so well-known out in the industry, he can probably charge more than most sole practitioners that are out there. And this is really one of the big secrets that you all really have to think about. How can you leverage thought leadership? LinkedIn is a great platform for that because it's very low cost. And there's a lot of things. It takes time to become a great thought leader, but the benefits of it are tremendous. And it's something I work on every day, and I think it's something that Sylvia can help you with. It's something that I'm going to tell you some more at the end about how you can learn more about it as well. So the third and final step, and maybe ultimately the most important, is your client selection. And yes, you are selecting your client. And I want that to be something you really think about. It's not just your client selecting you, it's you selecting them. You need to figure out what clients you want to work with. And the first bullet I have here, identify your ideal client. Your ideal clients are the clients that you can charge higher fees to, who are great to work with, who value and appreciate the work that you do, who allow you to leverage your expertise more and get more involved as partners in their projects and really help them succeed with all of their business goals rather than just executing on a small part of a project and trying to charge the minimum amount of fees that you can get by with. And so ultimately, this has got to become part of your strategy. You know, I really feel like the branding aspect and the thought leadership aspect need to be approached and thought about before you start to work on how you're going to revamp your strategic plan to go after better clients, because you have to be ready for those better clients. You have to be ready to get them, and you have to be ready to talk with them. You have to be ready for them to research you. So this is really the third and final step that, in a way, it goes back to the beginning in terms of developing your strategic plan, but then it's also something that has to be part of your DNA, your culture of your firm. And so one step that I highly recommend, I have this in my book. I have a whole chapter in my book about client relationships. And one of the things you really need to do is to categorize your current clients. And so what I want you to do is start to do some analysis of your clients. Who are the ones that you love working with? Who are the ones you make more money on? Who are the ones that don't nickel and dime you? Who are the ones that understand that you have to make a good, solid profit in order to deliver an excellent project for them, in order for you to hire the best people, in order for you to be able to have the kinds of services? If your clients don't care about that, then those are the clients that you're going to be a commodity to. And so it's really a decision that you have to make. But really sitting down and analyzing your current client base and break them up into A, B, and C clients. and figure out which ones, develop a list of criteria and then categorize them and figure out which ones you really want to focus on. By looking at your A clients, that will give you a better picture as to who your ideal clients are. If your A clients really are, to some extent, your ideal clients, but you need to really then start to understand what are their demographics, what are their mindset, how do you find them, where are they, what types of projects are they asking you to do, and really just try to understand them better. And then I'm going to say something really, really radical, and that is that you need to fire the worst 20 to 40% of your clients. And I think after you categorize them, you're going to know who they are. Now, this is something that's very, very scary, because during the recession, everybody was desperate, and everybody was going out and trying to get any client they could get. And to some large extent, that's why many of you are where you are right now, because you were so desperate, you took any client and you put up with a lot of crap from them, including not getting paid for long periods of time. And that is what gets you into that commodity trap and allows you to, or forces you to start putting up with a lot of stuff that isn't beneficial for your business. So ultimately, to make more money and to charge higher fees, you're going to have to find more ideal clients and get rid of the worst 20 to 40%. And one of the little tips that I'm going to give you, which is not on the slide, is to go out and get a book called 80/20 Sales and Marketing. And the author is Perry Marshall. And Perry Marshall is one of the thought leaders that I follow heavily in the marketing arena. And the book is fantastic, but it basically explains to you why you make most of your money from 4% of your clients. And that 4% of your clients are your ideal clients. And if you can figure out who that 4% are, and I'll give you one hint, the 100th client will pay 100 times more than the first client. And you'll learn more about that if you go read that book. But he really talks about how to qualify clients, how to figure out how your ideal clients are, and what your unique selling proposition is. And it's a really great book for just getting a better mindset, because that's really partly what I'm asking you to do. It's really a cultural change in your company. It's a strategic direction, and it's going to involve a lot of work once you decide to do it. But I really feel like within 12 months, following all these tips and focusing like a laser on your strategy, that you can increase your fees and you can have much higher profits as well. And ultimately, that's what I'm about. I'm about profitability. Because having more revenue without more profit really doesn't help you too much. So you really need to be looking at both ends there. And the last item I have here is to develop a client retention plan. And again, in my book, I talk about what that is. And really what it's about is once you've understood who your ideal clients are, you need to figure out how to keep them. And I think, every firm out there in the world has lost a great client and didn't really understand why. And having a good client retention plan really helps you focus better on what it's going to take to keep those best clients. And maybe you don't even have to fire the worst 20%. Maybe you can just get them to go hire your competitors, because ultimately that will benefit your firm as well if they go hire your competitors and nickel and dime them on their fees, because that's not the type of client that you really want. So my goal in having this webinar for you today was to show you the steps, the 3 top steps that you need to get to the top. And honestly, there are more steps. There are quite a few steps, and each of those steps requires you to develop an action plan and steps and specific actions that you're going to take to improve your business and your thought leadership and your brand image, and to get to those best clients that are out there. And so next, what I wanted to talk to you about is a summit that we're having, and I wanted to talk to you about how you can learn how to do this better. Before we get to that point, I just want you to answer one more question for us, And Leanne, if you could run that poll. Leanne, are you muted? There you are.
Yep, this one is, do you have a thought leadership strategy? Yes or no? We'll give you about 30 seconds to answer that one for us as well. Question should be on your screen. Do you have a thought leadership strategy? It's just an interesting question for those of you to see if you are doing it, if that gives you a leg up on your peers and competitors, or if you're in the norm. So we'll see where the numbers come in here in a moment. Answers are still coming in, and we'll go ahead and close that. So we actually are seeing 72% no, 28% of you saying yes. So we have 28% that do say they have a thought leadership strategy. So June, I'll close that, and then your screen will show again.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. So that's really interesting numbers. 28% of you are already working on this as a project. And let me just say, thought leadership never ends. It's an ongoing process. It's not something you just launch, write a book and put it out there, or, build a blog and then, leave all the articles out there for people to find. It's constantly getting yourself out there, getting your name out there. And as an educational leader, thought leadership is about educating your clients so that when they think of, well, what firm do I want to hire, that's the firm that comes to your mind. Your firm should always come to their mind first because they've been reading your educational content. So I wanted to talk to you about the AEC Profitability Summit. And, so many of our clients came to us and said, June, your book is great. It tells me a lot about how to find the lost dollars. And, all of these webinars we're having are great, but they're only 1 hour. And most of our clients have not been taking the time to really focus on working on their business and improving their results. And so I wanted to develop a really unique way for companies to get together and really solve the problems that they have in their businesses. And so I put together this summit, which we're having September 24th and 25th in Tysons Corner, Virginia. It's going to give you an opportunity to get completely immersed for 2 days in your company's profitability. And so what that's going to include is before the conference, there's going to be some work you have to do. You're going to have to assess your business. And we have a proprietary business management assessment tool that we use with our clients to figure out where they could be finding more profitability. And we're going to be offering this as part of preparation for this summit that we're having, as well as a consultation with me on the phone with the members of your firm that are attending the summit to really analyze that assessment, the results there, and then also to set some goals. Because the problem with going to conferences, I go to a lot of conferences. I probably go to 6 to 8 conferences every year, if not more. And the problem that I have is I learn a lot of cool stuff, but then I get back to my day job and I don't implement a lot of the ideas that I have. And we're not going to let people get away with that. So we're going to have everyone setting very specific goals before the conference. So they are very, very focused. And then go to the conference. There's going to be worksheets to fill out. There's going to be specific actions that you're going to take as a result of attending this conference. So you're going to have, at the end, you're going to be developing an action plan. And the 5 areas that we're focusing on are implementing your strategic plan, making sure you're going after the right clients, the right lines of business, and where firms go wrong in their implementation of their strategy. Looking at your project management effectiveness of your firm, where your project managers, how to measure them, how to hold them accountable, lots of good stuff there. Reducing scope creep, and we're going to give you specific, detailed implementation processes for how to reduce scope creep in your firm. Sylvia is going to be doing a session on marketing strategies to increase fees, and talking about the specific things that we talked about today. I apologize for that. I got a little pop-up box on my screen that I'm trying to get rid of. And talking about specific marketing strategies that she's going to be digging a lot deeper than we did today. So what are the specific things you need to do with your website? What are the specific things that you need to do with your thought leadership? How do you implement those things? And she has a couple other ideas beyond the 3 that we went over today. Some other things that innovative firms are doing to increase their fees and become better, well-known out in the industry. And then we have a really great session on performance management, because as I get out there and I find out why companies are not achieving their goals, one of the top things that I keep hearing about is accountability. And what I find is that most firms are doing an annual review with their employees, and that's really what makes up the majority of their performance management process. And that really doesn't work. And so we're going to be looking at what does work, and how do you hold people more accountable, and how do you implement real processes for performance management that work better. And so you're going to be seeing more and more about that coming from AEC Business Solutions as the weeks and months go by as we lead up to the summit. This is a really important topic. So after we've done all these really hands-on sessions, you will develop an action plan. You will go back to your firm, and you will implement these strategies. And we have some other things that we're going to be doing to help you hold yourselves accountable to implement what you've learned and to get these things in place to make more money. We're also going to, at the end, we're going to have 2-hour executive and project management roundtables, one for executive topics and one for project management topics, depending on who you are and which role you have in your firm. There's going to be lots of networking throughout the 2 days. You're going to meet other people who do what you do and be able to talk to them about their own challenges. And I intend for this to be a very supportive type of process. So everybody's going to be working together to help each other. And I have found over the years that you get more done that way. You get better ideas. You get more motivated when you're working in a group than when you just try to do things out on your own. So I really believe this is going to be the right environment to get people very productive. I also have another special surprise that I haven't announced to anyone yet because it just got confirmed, but I wanted to be able to tell you about it because it's really exciting. I think earlier I told you that I want my business to be like Tesla. I want to be the cool company. I want to be the innovative company. I want to be the one that can charge more because we are delivering on a brand promise. And right next to the Hyatt Regency, which is a brand new hotel in Tysons Corner Mall. Tysons Corner Mall is one of the best malls on the East Coast. There's a brand new Hyatt that opened up there. That's where we're having our 2-day summit. And right next to the Hyatt, there's a Tesla showroom. And so right at the end of the event, we're going to take all of our attendees over to the Tesla store. And one of the reasons that I think Tesla is so successful is they really know how to brand themselves. And I think it's a very important lesson. If you go into this store, you're going to see clothing up on the wall, and you think to yourself, wow, they are so popular, they can sell clothing in a store. They also have a design studio. I thought this might appeal to some of you designers out there, you architects, that this is how they present how you can design your own car. And it's very visual. And that little screen that's up there on the wall it's interactive, and it allows you to interact with it, and they just have some really neat stuff that they do with their customers that come into the store. They also, for the engineers in the group, they have this chassis sitting there, and it shows you exactly how the vehicle's designed and the engine, transmission. They sit and talk to you about the unique engineering that they have that really makes their vehicle unique and innovative. And I know I got very excited when I went in there. So it's a really cool place. They have a motor actually up on the wall that you can spin around and look at. I think you engineers would love this. So we're going to have a short visit over there at the end of our summit, and then we're going to take everybody in a test ride to be able to get in the actual real vehicles and drive around in them for 15, 20 minutes. They're going to have some of their special Tesla drivers there to drive us around. I think it's just really exciting because I want you to be thinking about what all of that represents. And it really goes back to what we were talking about today. Why can Tesla charge $60,000 for a sedan vehicle? And they're brand new. They've done this in a relatively short amount of time. And one of the salespeople in the store even told me that their vehicles are safer than most vehicles, and the crash tests are coming out higher because they've really thought, they started from scratch, and they really thought about what do we need to do differently that our competitors aren't doing. And one of the things they did is put the engine in the back of the car. So I think, thinking outside the box, understanding how to brand your company, really, getting excited about taking your company to the next level. That's what this whole summit is about. And so our early bird was supposed to expire today, but for our webinar attendees, we're going to extend it for another to the end of next week. And if you go to aecbusiness.com/summit and use the promo code SPECIAL, you can get that early bird price of $975. And I will personally guarantee I'm going to work with each of you individually to assess your business, to go over the results, and to set goals for this conference. I'm going to work with you individually to make sure you get the most out of it. And I guarantee you will make more money after you implement these things you're going to learn at this conference. I guarantee it. And I don't do that very often because it's a hard thing to do, but I am so confident that I can help take your company to the next level. I want to work directly with you personally to make sure that happens. And so if you have any questions, I realize that many of you have questions. Some of you don't know me. Some of you have never heard of AEC Business, heard of us before. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've worked with over 700 A&E firms across the United States. And I really know what it takes to help companies to be more profitable, to be more successful. I hope I've demonstrated a little bit of that today, but I'm very happy to have a conversation with you and to connect with you. I want to connect with all of you on LinkedIn, so send me an invite as soon as you can. And go to our website. You can learn more about us, and please feel free to call me. That's my direct number. You can give me a call anytime to talk about what it's going to take to get your firm to the next level, whether this summit makes sense for you. And if it doesn't make sense, I'm going to tell you, because if you're not completely committed to doing the work that it's going to take to improve your business, then this isn't the right venue for you, and you shouldn't be there. But I really only want to work with firms that are committed, whose strategies are really calling for them to improve, to become more profitable, to be more successful, and I promise you that will happen. And I know a lot of you on the call have read my book before, but for any of you that haven't read my book, if you send me an email, I will send you a copy of my book as well. So let me know, and I will be happy to do that too if you would like to read that. So that's all I had for today in terms of, and I hope this was offered some value to you in terms of being able to think about what it's going to take to get your firm to the next level. Sounds like, 50% of you think your brand is in alignment, and 28% of you feel like you already have some thought leadership that you're projecting out into the world. Hopefully I gave you a couple other small ideas if you are already on that path. And if you're not on that path, this is what it's going to take, and I hope I've given you some good ideas about where to start. And if not, if you want to talk about it some more, I'm happy to talk with you about it. I'd love to chat with you and understand what your challenges are and what it's going to take to help you to get there. So do we have any questions?
No, I answered a couple, and other than that, I don't see any others. And again, I'll just remind you.
What were the questions, Dan? Because sometimes
just about receiving. It was just about receiving the slides, which I was just going to say. So I'll remind you that within the next hour, you will receive an email. Be sure to check your spam or your junk in case it ends up there. But you will receive an email with the slides, and that was the main question: was if they're going to get them and when. And
somebody asked, what is the name of the 80/20 book? And that is called 80/20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall.
Right.
And phenomenal. I recommend going to his website, perrymarshall.com, sign up for his blog, sign up for his emails. He's really, if you're into marketing, if you like marketing, if you have interest in it, it's a great resource. If you're not into marketing, you might not like his stuff, but I still think you can get some value. Perry with a P, P-E-R-R-Y, P as in Paul, Perry Marshall. And yes, Perry Marshall is the author, and he's phenomenal. I think many of you can get a lot of benefit from reading his stuff. And I read a lot of business books, and I'm always recommending them on our website and in our blog posts. And we have a really great blog. I try to write 1 or 2 articles a week. We have guest bloggers in the industry who write on all of our topics are related to profitability in your firm. And if you go to our website and click on blog, you can subscribe to our blog. You'll get probably 1 email a week from us with a link to a new article every week, which is about profitability. There is a question about using Instagram. I think, Instagram is really, I think using any social site can be beneficial if you can get the right people following you. I really think that's the key to it, because if you can get people looking at your photos on Instagram, that's always beneficial. It's always good. It drives people to your website. That's one of the main benefits of social media. Every time you post on social media, you should have a link to your website so that you can get people back to your website, and which will help to drive up your rankings in Google, your organic search rankings. And so I think any social media platform is valuable if you're committed to it. My favorite one is LinkedIn. That's where I think B2B, you're selling to other businesses, that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. And if you can get very involved and engaged in groups on LinkedIn and in conversations and answering questions, showing your expertise, any way that you can do it, publishing, make sure you have a really great company page and that lots of other people are following it. And go look at your competitors. I mean, I really think that's really, really important. Go on LinkedIn and look at your competitors' company pages. See how active they are. See how often they're posting their photos and starting discussions and conversations. I think that gives you a lot of insight into what others may be doing better than you are. And we can always get better. I always believe that no matter how great you are, you can always get better. So please connect with me, and feel free to call me anytime. I'd love to talk with you. I'm very involved with our clients. I try as hard as I can to make sure everybody gets as much value as possible from our content. And I promise you that if you sign up for our summit, you will not regret it. You will be the best 2 days you've spent all year in focusing on your business. So thanks to everybody for attending today, and I'd love your feedback as well. If you want to just send me an email, let me know what you think about this presentation and whether it had some value for you today.